have arrived at a significant point in the class. We have reached the point where we have built up to this concept of supply, and we have a very strong foundation that will help us better understand this concept called supply. So here's a quick review. Firms are going to maximize profit by finding the point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and they're going to pick some output level to make that situation true. And our firms are operating in perfect competition, meaning firms are price takers, not price setters. So when the price changes, the firm has to respond by making some change in the way they do business. In this case, they're going to change by increasing or decreasing output. So firms adjust their output in order to maximize profit. If firms go up, firms have an incentive to produce more. Resource allocation and incentives are two of the most important things to remember about economics. Now, if prices go down, that firm has an incentive to produce less. It has to allocate the resource, it has to follow the incentives. And that's what firms will do. As prices fall, production is going to decrease. And there's a certain point where it's just not worth the trouble anymore, and that's where firms are going to shut down. At the low point on the average variable cost curve, that's the point where the marginal cost is going to cross the average variable cost curve. That is the lowest price that a firm is willing to accept and still work. So the firms are going to produce nothing and shut down below that shutdown point or that shutdown price. And when we kind of put all that together, we notice that the supply curve has been hiding in plain sight all along. If we wanted to find how much the firm should produce for a given price, we remember that with perfect competition, the price is the firm's marginal revenue, and the firm is going to set marginal revenue equal to marginal cost in order to make as much money as possible. So the marginal cost curve matched up to that marginal revenue curve is going to tell us at any given price, here is what the firm would like to produce. So here is a definition of supply. I'll probably give several definitions of supply throughout the semester, but this is a good one to work with. Supply is, first of all, a relationship. It explains how the price of a good and the amount of that good that firms want to bring to the market are related to each other. So supply is this relationship between price and the quantity that the firms are going to make and try to sell. And this is the thing to remember, and you should highlight this, and you should put this in bold and put asterisks and stars all around this. What I want you to understand is that the supply curve is the marginal cost curve. It's been hiding in plain sight all along. The portion of the marginal cost curve that's above the average variable cost curve is our supply curve. The firm's going to operate and supply some positive number, some non-zero number, anytime the price is in this range above the average variable cost curve, and they'll consult their marginal cost curve to find out what quantity should go with that price. The take-home lesson on this is that supply is a segment of the marginal cost curve. In other words, supply is a cost concept. And when you think the word supply, the first thing that should pop into your head is the word cost, and vice versa. Let's see it on a diagram. Here I've got my cost curve, got the ATC, the AVC, and the marginal cost. This part right here is the supply curve. Everything from AVC up along the marginal cost curve is the supply curve. So now you've got a real solid definition of supply. The supply curve is that part of the marginal cost curve right there in front of you. Why does it matter? Because supply is a cost concept. That's a very important thing to understand. And that'll help you a lot throughout the rest of the class when you understand that supply is all about cost. The amount a firm supplies, the amount that it makes, is based on what it costs to make that product. And it costs more to make more. And in order to convince a firm to make more stuff, you've got to persuade them to spend more money, and the way to do that is to give them more money for their product. Why does it matter? In the process of deriving this supply curve, we never mentioned the word demand. I think I may have mentioned it as an aside one time. And I do that for a reason, because I want to try to demonstrate to you, to illustrate to you that supply has nothing to do with demand. We will learn in a different video that the demand for a product is based on how people feel about the product at the end of the day and how much money people have. The supply of a product really has nothing to do with how people feel about the product. The supply of the product has to do with what it costs to make the product. And this is an important thing to remember, because what you need to know in order to have success throughout the rest of the class is that anything that changes the cost of production will cause supply to change. I'll repeat it again for emphasis. When something happens that changes the cost of doing business, it's going to move our cost curves on our diagram, and we're going to have a shift in the supply curve on the diagram. We call that a change in supply. Examples of things that will cause the supply curve to change. Technology. When technology improves, costs go down. When costs decrease, supply is going to expand. Input prices. When the inputs we use in our production process get more expensive, costs go up. That's going to cause supply to contract. In agriculture, we're worried about the weather. We're worried about rainfall. When the rain comes at the right time in the right place, production's going to go up. You don't have the rain, production's going to go down. And that rainfall is going to impact the average cost of producing a crop, or the average cost of producing forage, which is going to indirectly impact the cost of producing cattle. So regulation. When regulation increases, costs go up. When regulation decreases, costs go down. And another important point that we're going to spend some time talking about is opportunity cost. These cost curves we're studying, they include the opportunity cost. They include the value of the next best alternative. Never forget that opportunity costs are a big part of this. Now this also tells us that there are some things that we can rule out that never will change supply. For example, the price of the product that we're studying will not change the supply of that product. Now if the price changes, we'll produce a different amount, but that's different than a change in supply. Now the demand. If the demand changes, that's going to influence the price and cause the price to change, and as a result, we might see a different amount produced, but producing a different amount and changing supply are not the same thing. So keep this in mind. I'm going to move on to the next video, and you should as well. Thank you very much for watching.